Welcome to your podcast, Leadership is Tricky, where we'll tackle various topics, challenges, and experiences as it relates to your investment in leadership. So, let's design success together. Now your hosts.
Hey everyone, Erick here with Leadership is Tricky, or LIT. I'm here with one of our past co-hosts from previous seasons 1 and 2. You guys have heard his voice. Now you get to see his face. It is Dr. Stephen D. Carter. How you doing, Dr. Carter?
Hey, I'm doing great, Eric. I want to just thank you for having me on. I know it's been a while. I know we've all been busy, but it's great to be back here on Leadership is Tricky.
Right. So Leadership is Tricky is an affiliate of the AUSA CW Abrams chapter here in Wiesbaden, Germany, which is the #1 chapter here in Europe, 5 years running. And we have an event today at the Penta Hotel here in Wiesbaden, Germany, to celebrate Octoberfest. So for those that have never been to Europe, have never been to Octoberfest, we kind of brought it from Munich to here. We're going to have a good time tonight. And what you're going to see is clips throughout the night of me doing ad hoc on the spot interviews with folks that are affiliated with AUSA and lifetime members like myself and Dr. Carter here. And Dr. Carter, what is your affiliation with the AUSA chapter here?
Oh, thank you very much for asking that question. I'm actually the vice president of Young Professionals. Young Professionals is a national program that is designed to target junior civilians, senior enlisted, and junior officers, or otherwise mid-career personnel, to help them network, find career opportunities, and just show them what's out there so that they can have career broadening experiences through their networks and affiliations with those who are more senior.
That's perfect too, because you've had a long career, right, in the military as well as a civilian, and a lot of your work that you do outside of, your real career bubble. It's great to know that you're out there, impacting the youth and sharing your experiences. And that's kind of what the foundation for Leadership is Tricky is right, is sharing those experiences and those little golden nuggets with young professionals, senior professionals, but just, folks that are trying to navigate this crazy world of leadership. So question for you, Dr. Carter, because I'm going to put you on the spot here. So you have this affiliation with young professionals, right? What drove you? What is your purpose? What drove you to be a part of that and do this?
Eric, that is a great question. What I have learned, as you can tell, I'm fairly young. I'm about 21 years old, but in my 21 years of life, I have learned that all that I have achieved, the stature, the occupational positions, all this, my education, I received through the benevolence of others, whether it was someone taking time out of their day job to teach evening and weekend classes, whether it was a senior enlisted or a junior officer or a mid-grade officer, or even a general officer who took time to help me understand and navigate the military environment, that being in the joint environment, in the special operations environment, in the infantry environment, the combat arms environment, because in your experience, you're gonna work a profession, right? But even within the profession, you're gonna go through different environments, and understanding how to navigate within those environments requires some assistance. You need some help, some mentorship, some guidance, or just someone to help you understand the environment in which you're occupying.
Yeah, and I would attest to anyone watching or listening today, as Dr. Carter has been instrumental into my development as I start to navigate, beyond the 21 years old, right? No, with all seriousness, is you do take the time to mentor, coach, and inspire folks like myself that have not been to where you've been already. So it's really important and really admirable that you're giving that back to the young professionals. And then the last question I'm going to ask you, and then I will ask everyone that we interview tonight the same question. If there's one thing that you can share with our listeners out there, really our young professionals, when it comes to leadership, service, purpose, what is the one thing that you would leave with them that they probably need to think about as they move on in their careers?
I will tell everyone regardless of your station in life and in your career, you need 3 people. Always keep these 3 people close to you. You need a coach, a mentor, and an advocate. A coach talks to you. A mentor talks with you, but an advocate speaks for you. And that's what I like to leave everyone with.
Right. So thank you for your time, Dr. Carter.
Well, thank you, Eric.
I want you to enjoy the Octoberfest, have a nice beer. We have some pretzels out there, but, you know, just sharing company amongst the professionals tonight. And then, yeah, so folks, stay tuned. We'll have some other folks come on here shortly, and, you know, they'll share their experiences as well with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, folks. Hey there, we're back. We just had our introductory remarks here at the Octoberfest Association of United States Army Octoberfest Festival here at the Penta Hotel here in Wiesbaden, Germany. And I've had the pleasure to snag David Fulton, who we're just going to get into it. So what's your affiliation with AUSA?
So I've been a member of AUSA for quite a while. I've been the chapter president here in Wiesbaden of the General C.W. Abrams chapter for a good number of years, but I transitioned this year, and I am now the president of the European region, which has 8 chapters throughout Europe, and I am kind of the forward arm for AUSA to help organize chapters and meet the intent and focus on the focus issues for AUSA and our Army over here.
Thank you for that introduction, and it's a pleasure to have you on Leadership is Tricky. So, so you've been doing this a while. You're former military as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what drives you? What is your purpose to continue to do this and serve your community?
So it is the AUSA, the Association of the United States Army, is our Army's professional association. It is that one organization that covers everybody, whether you're an active duty soldier, whether you're National Guard, you're Reserve, you're a family member, you're a retiree, or you're a veteran, or if you're just an interested citizen. AUSA is there to support you, and it is our Army's organization private organization that they reach out to help support, focus on the Army's key focus items for the entire year. So I have, ever since I was a lieutenant, we were always told, you know, the Association of the United States Army is a great organization to be a part of, and I was a part of it, and I have continued to be a part of it. I particularly like the fact that it looks out holistically at the entire Army family of everybody. It's not just looking at a segment of our Army force, but it's looking out for everybody. And that kind of is what gives me the energy to serve within AUSA.
Right. And it takes a special commitment to do that, because I know you give a lot of your time to these events, speaking engagements, and also, the recruiting folks like myself, who's a lifetime member as well, with AUSA. And, I've been around the military community my whole life, right? So going from a military brat to now, government civilian for quite some time, but, just to be a part of this community and see what you're doing is very inspiring. So thank you for that. So, hey, we had Dr. Carter on earlier, and we were talking about young professionals. And so what I'd like to ask you before I let you go, since it's only supposed to be 5 minutes of conversation, is for those folks out there that are struggling with leadership and or in a new leadership role or a young professional, what's that one thing throughout your career that you've seen either work or from experience that you would kind of leave some advice for them, kind of as a teaching moment or a golden nugget that you found throughout your time?
So for me, the golden nugget is networks. Never leave an organization without having improved your network while you were there,
right?
Because you can always reach back to that for mentorship, insight, experience. And when you retire from the military, what you take with you is your networks. You take with you your fitness. You take with you your finances. You take with you the values that you've had over 20 years while you were in there. But when I'm talking to young professionals and people coming up and they're just getting started, I tell, first, focus on your networks. Get to know as many people as you possibly can, because there's always somebody that can help you with the challenges that you have.
Yeah, so we had just real quickly. So we did have an episode on networking, right, and the power of networks. And one of the things that I've learned over time is those meaningful connections too, right? It's going into a network with them and developing that mutual respect and that meaningful connection, so you can always reach back in, right, to make sure that you're going in for the right reasons. But that's great advice. So Dr. Carter mentioned mentoring, coaching, and someone to help inspire and development, and advocate for folks. And then you come back with building the network so you can have that same ecosystem. So no, Dave, thank you for your time.
Okay, if I'm thinking like Dr. Carter, then I'm in the right direction. So,
All right.
Good.
All right. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Eric. This is great.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks for what you're doing.
Let's go ahead and resume this video as well. So we're back again with another special guest here at the Octoberfest for the Association for the United States Army, Gemma McGowan, who I've known for a long time now.
Absolutely.
So welcome to Lit. So when I said in the last episode of Lit, right, some people call it that. Gemma's the one that's been putting it out there. It's lit, right? So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I love it.
All right. So Gemma, so what's your affiliation with AUSA?
So this year I became the chapter president for the General C.W. Abrams chapter here in Wiesbaden.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's like big shoes to fill because Dave, he moved up to the European president, which is amazing. So I've had about 5 years being the vice president and learning from him. So I was definitely ready to take the reins.
And you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
I just don't know how you have the energy. So if anyone that knows or wants to follow Gemma, so I follow Gemma not only on Facebook, but also on Instagram. And every weekend she's somewhere doing something phenomenal, whether it's with her daughters, with her husband, he's in a rock band, right?
Yeah, his metal band.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Or she's doing her own podcast, which she does a travel podcast, which gives us a lot of information and places to go if you're here in Europe. So so the next question I have for you is, I see that you do a lot of events. I see that you're a part of AUSA. I see that you give a lot of your own energy, right, to furthering the cause for United States Army. So what's your purpose and why do you do this?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people wonder also where I get all my energy from.
Right.
I don't know, and I just have to I tell people it just comes naturally.
Right.
I'm not forcing anything. I'm not, trying to prove something, or I never feel it actually gives me more energy. Like I love just working with people. And the purpose is like our military community. I feel very honored to have like the lifestyle that I have and what the military has done for me and my family and the people I have met. I mean, I don't have words. The most amazing people that I've met in my military career. And just, I feel this is the way that I give back and kind of make the community better. And that's my purpose, really, just giving to our military community, supporting our soldiers, our families. If I could do a little piece of the pie to do that, then yeah, I'm happy, and it makes me happy. I don't get tired from it. It just makes me more motivation to do more.
No, that's awesome because, one of the things that I continue to say, and I'm pretty sure the listeners are going to get tired of me saying it, but you got to live your purpose or you always live someone else's purpose.
Right.
And, I always say my purpose is to serve, but I think we're kind of similar in that fashion. And what you're doing is very inspiring. And
oh, thanks, Eric.
Yeah. So, the last question, because I did promise to keep this under 5 minutes, right, is Dr. Carter and we opened up the episode talking about young professionals. So one of the questions I have for you, if you could leave, with your military background, civilian background, giving back to the community, your role in AUSA and affiliation, what's that one thing throughout your time when it comes to leadership that you would leave with our young professionals out there? What's something that they can take away from your experience?
What I would tell young professionals, and what I've learned, is to go outside of your comfort zone and things that scare you, or just take the risk of doing something, and it only makes you better. And do things, if you have an aspiration to do something, then work towards it, because anything is possible. Right. But do what's kind of scares you, or just take risk. So I wouldn't have been here in my position or anything if I, wasn't, doing that, taking risk, or Yeah.
Yeah, really
push
pushing the
myself, push
status
myself.
quo,
I know
right?
my purpose, because you always have, I think I tell young people too, just listen to yourself and how things make you feel. And then find your tribe, because I know like these are my tribe. And the way that I feel around these professionals, I realize these are my people.
Right.
So that's what I do. And I love being on Lit. Thank you so much. Leadership is tricky, and I'm so happy to be on your podcast.
No, thank you for taking the time. I know you're hosting this thing, so you got to get back to your tribe.
I'm gonna send you some people in here, some great people. For
All
your
right, we're
awesome
looking
podcast.
forward to it. So thank you, and we're gonna go pause here, and then we'll come back for the next guest.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
All right, folks, we're back with our next guest here at the AUSA Octoberfest event at the Penta Hotel here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I've got the pleasure of having David Norton here. How you doing, Dave?
Good, thanks, Eric.
All right.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Leadership is tricky. So what's your affiliation with AUSA?
Well, thanks for asking. Actually, my current affiliation is I'm the Executive Vice President for the European region of the Association of the United States Army.
Cool. Yeah. So how long have you been in that space?
I've been in that space now for about 6 years.
Okay.
And so I'm a former past president of the C.W. Abrams chapter here.
Okay.
And so after I was getting ready to leave and the chapter was migrating from Heidelberg to Wiesbaden, I recruited Dave Fulton to take my place. And so you've seen how that progresses. And then Gemma McGowan now has the pleasure of leading the chapter.
Right. So you kind of blaze the trail for everyone to get into the leadership positions, and I'm sure you're still giving back and mentoring folks so that way as they get into their new roles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Awesome.
That's part of the program.
Cool. Yeah. And we work together, and I know, so you're still giving back to the Army, and you're part of AUSA and doing a lot for the community. So kind of why do you continue to serve, and, kind of what's been your purpose, kind of what drives you to continue to do this?
Well, so I'll be honest with you. I first started my association with the AUSA as a community partner, otherwise known as a corporate sponsor.
Okay.
And so I was the former chapter president reached out to me and said, hey, your company does a lot to support the troops here. Would you be interested in supporting our chapter? I signed up for that. And as I participated more with the Association of the United States Army, I saw all the great things they do for the soldiers, the families, the retirees, the veterans. And I said, I really want to be more of a part of that.
Right.
And so not just did we donate money to different events and stuff like that to support the community, but I also personally took an active interest in helping out with my time and my expertise to help teach younger people how they can be better in their craft, and to give my energy to the association so that they can do more things to support the community.
No, that's extremely inspiring, right? And I think the common theme throughout the folks that we've had on tonight so far has been like this desire to serve, right? And this desire to motivate and coach people to be better, in what they do. So one, thank you for that. And then so with your experience in your long career, and all of your time giving back, right? We're still going to keep the theme in the last question about young professionals, right? Those folks that you set out to serve and inspire. What's the one thing you would leave with them, right, throughout all of your experience, that that one piece of advice, that one golden nugget that you've garnered over your time?
So what I would like to leave with the soldiers or other young professionals that are looking to better themselves is, if you see somebody that you admire and respect and you want to try to emulate their journey, then don't be afraid to reach out to them. Ask them to be your mentor.
Right.
Let them take an active interest in your professional development so you can be guided on your journey and also become hopefully as professional and as successful as them.
Right. So it's funny that you say that, right? Because the common theme is, mentorship, coaching, and then finding advocacy right out there in the community. And part of that is getting out of your comfort zone. But no, thank you for.
It's not easy to do that, right?
It is not. It is not.
It can be intimidating.
Right. It's not. But I think there's enough folks within the community that can help tease that out and make things comfortable through meaningful connections and discussion. And in creating that holding environment that AUSA does is is a part of that that journey for a lot of us. So one, Dave, thank you for your time. It's taken a few minutes just to get on our podcast here, and I promise to keep it less than 5 minutes. So I think we hit that target.
Nice.
So yeah, so thank you for joining us,
Thank
and
you, Erick.
and I'll see you back over there, and we'll have a beer together.
All right.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, everyone. I'm here with my next guest here. Really honored to have Stefan Kracht here with us here at the AUSA event at the Penta Hotel here in Wiesbaden, Germany, where leadership is tricky is on the road, right? So, Stefan, so what's your affiliation with AUSA?
Yeah, I'm a reservist of the German Bundeswehr,
Okay.
German Army, and we follow the invitation of Gemma.
Okay.
Yes, we got known at the ceremony of the airlift.
All right.
Yes, and she invited us to come here and to get to know and some others guys to get into the network.
Yeah, so it's so I've known Gemma a long time, right? So Gemma introduced Stefan here in his reservist compadres,
Exactly.
who are here as special guests for AUSA and being part of the Bundeswehr, who, United States Army Europe, right? We are extremely tight at the hip with the Bundeswehr, and we're honored to have you here, not only at the AUSA event, but also on the podcast. So you serve, right? So,
Exactly.
Right. So we talked about you're an officer right now in training,
Exactly.
soon to be a captain.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
All right. So why did you choose to serve?
Yeah, I joined the military in 2008 for the basic military service.
Okay.
And then I was in a civilian university. And then after the graduation, I came back to the military
Okay.
as a reserve officer. And yeah, I believe in the mission of the German army.
Right.
And I want to bring my part to it.
Right. Right.
Yes.
So that's that purpose, right? That purpose,
Exactly.
right. Cool. So what's something that you've learned, because you are an officer, right? So
Yes.
you have to lead soldiers, you have to lead,
Exactly.
young professionals. What's something that you've learned that that you didn't know before you started this journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you always have to keep in mind that every soldier has a personality.
Right.
Yes, and yeah, you keep that in mind that everyone is special on his own, and then there's a personality.
Yeah, I think one of the things we talk about a lot on on leadership is really understanding your people.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And I think I talked about it in a couple episodes ago, is that having that meaningful connection with each individual helps you as a leader,
Exactly.
because
That's what I mean.
everyone's extremely special, right?
Exactly.
And the personalities sometimes
exactly.
get in the way. So yeah. So when do you think you'll become a captain?
Next year in June, I'll
Right.
graduate the training.
Mhm.
Then I will become captain. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I want to thank you for taking the time to
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad, right?
It wasn't too bad. Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, no, thank
It's a
you.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you
Yes.
for being a part of
We are-
AUSA.
As I say, we are a reservist group. Frankenstein, maybe you heard about it.
Yeah.
It's a castle in the southern part of Darmstadt.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, our mission is to make together some events with you guys.
Right.
We also have connections to the MI
Okay.
here in Wiesbaden.
Right, and it's military intelligence.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And we are hosting events together, like marching, shooting, and stuff like this.
Yeah, and I think it's especially special times right now with everything that's happening in the
Exactly,
world that
Exactly.
Our
Yes.
alliance is strong.
And we want to keep the cooperation between USA and Germany.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, and I've been in Germany a long time, and
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
It's great to have you here.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
sir.
and we'll hit pause here, and then we'll welcome our next guest. But
Okay.
yeah, congratulations on all of your training,
Yes,
and
thank you.
and hopefully this time next year you'll
Okay.
be wearing your captain
We'll be
and,
here. Yeah.
and leading young minds.
Yes, I will.
all right.
definitely.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. All right. All right, folks, we're back with our next guest. I just keep pulling him out of the forum. Everyone's having drinks and having a good time today at the AUSA event, the Octoberfest event here at the Penta Hotel in Wiesbaden, Germany. So I'm here with one of my brothers, one of my co-workers, Andre Wilson. How you doing, Andre?
How you doing?
All right. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, so Andre, what's your affiliation with AUSA?
Yeah, so my affiliation with AUSA, I've been with them, I could say probably around maybe 2019, 2020. Just a normal member that just tries to be involved with the organization itself and what it represents for the Army community overall.
All right, so you're former Army warrant officer, and you spent a lot of time or retired from the Army, and now you're a government civilian, right? We work together, and you're part of these community events, right? So why do you continue to serve, and what do you feel is your purpose in doing so?
Yeah, so I retired around 2014, and then this is sort of like an avenue or venue where I can still be involved with the community, supporting the Army at different capacity, whether it be the government, retiree, but then this is like, I guess, like a vehicle, a vessel to extend what it is I can provide to assist those others within the Army in this particular capacity, mentorship, guidance,
Right.
leadership, things of that nature, networking, and that's what I kind of get out of AUSA itself.
Right. So I think that's been the common theme as everyone has come in here, right? It's about the networking, the coaching, the mentoring, giving back, right? Because the Army's given us so much.
True.
Right. So this is our way to give back to others. And so I'm going to keep the same theme. The last question that I've asked everyone that's come on today in our 5-minute burst.
Okay.
Right. So what's, in your totality of your experience, what's the one thing you would leave with young professionals that you've learned over your time?
I would say with the young professionals to just seek out, explore, get yourself educated, talk to those who may be doing something you have an interest in, just have a conversation with them. They are more than willing to tell you what their journey, their path was, and just learn from that.
Right.
Network, talk to people.
Right. And it's funny you say that, because that is the common theme that everyone has said, right? It's about networking, getting out of your comfort levels, push the status quo. For the young millennials out there, I mean, I'm an old millennial, but those introverted folks out there, right? Just burst out of your shell and ask folks around you, because everyone has something to offer. So Andre, thank you for your time. We've got a line outside the door.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get our next guest in here, but yeah. So thanks for your service, and thanks for your time. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So we're back with our next guest, and I'm extremely honored to have Lieutenant Colonel retired Thomas Griffin. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm not too bad. It's actually been pretty fun doing this this round robin
Right,
here.
it's a blast.
Right.
Well, you get to know people.
I get to know people and hear their story, and they get to share some nuggets. What I did want to do, because we had a conversation as the night first started about what you're doing for veterans in California. So could you just tell the audience a little bit about the nonprofit organization you're part of?
Well, it's called the Veteran Foundation Center,
Okay.
and I founded it 22 years ago.
Right.
And we were able to write for surplus government quarters when they closed Fort Ord in '94. If you were a nonprofit, you could get surplus quarters. So we got 40 homes on Fort Ord, the old post headquarters, and a couple of warehouses. And then we began to write for grants and get money, and we redeveloped them because they were not occupiable at that point.
Right.
And we actually housed our first homeless veteran in 2002. It took almost 4 years after we got to be a nonprofit to get the money and get the houses rehabbed. And ever since then, we have been housing homeless veterans in the 40 homes. They stay for 14 to 18 months. They can stay up to 2 years, and they get programmed. And the good thing is, at this point, we're housing 121. And we have a 93% success rate. And that means when they graduate from a program, 9 out of 10 a year later are still clean and sober, have a home and a job. So it's the highest in the VA. The other thing that's so exciting is we have just 3 years ago began to take veterans who've been inmates in California prisons. And we've run 61 through a program in the last 3 years. There's a constant occupancy of 26. And when they've graduated, those 61, we've had 0% recidivism. That means no return to crime.
Right.
And that's the California state system is just unbelievable. They can't believe that. So they're giving us a bunch of money on the 1st of October to run a program in Soledad Prison. They call it the Hub for 1,200 veterans who are inmates. And that's a wonderful thing because those guys are grateful and thankful, and they're just really, really good people.
Yeah, because not only are you housing folks, you're also changing their lives, and that's phenomenal.
Well, I really have a passion for homeless veterans. I believe that veterans should not be homeless. I believe that being non-political, that the VA is not doing what they should be doing, or the government, and it's frustrating. And when I was working at the housing authority for the county, I saw homeless veterans, and I said, this can't happen. So the good thing is, this year, we're going to be spending, both from the state for the veteran inmates, as well as other homeless veterans, $74 million in the next 6 months. We're going to be building 71 apartments and then 80 units, and expanding, of course, the veteran inmate program as well.
Right.
So that's a lot of money,
It is.
you know, and my big deal is we can't afford to screw that up, because you got to hire good people, and they damn well better be honest.
Right.
That's a lot of money. But in 2.5 to 3 years from now, we're going to be housing over 300 people, and staff will be up to over 100. And that's a big program.
Yeah, so not only are you creating jobs, but you're also providing a second chance for a lot of folks that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity. So what kind of drives your purpose, right? I know you talked about seeing homeless veterans and feeling like they shouldn't be homeless, but what drives that purpose for you?
I think it's you know, when I was in the Army as an officer, the big thing is take care of your troops.
Mhm.
They'll take care of you.
Right.
Well, these guys are my troops. And I always say to everybody, these veterans, I don't care, we have Vietnam veterans, we have Iraq, Afghanistan, you name it. They're our kids. And we got to take care of them. Now, I want to hear this, you know, what do you mean you can't afford it? You know, so that's what drives me is that these guys are still our troops. They need taken care of. In many cases in California, even though they're supposed to get their jobs back, they don't. And that's not enforced. I think it's a shame. I've been to see our senators and everybody. They don't do anything. So they don't get their jobs back. So they end up on the street. And to give you an example, we had a young man, Isaiah, who had a wife. They're both Iraqi vets. And 3 years ago, we found him on the street in Seaside, self-medicating, meaning they were doing dope, right? Shooting up. And they had an infant, 7 months old. Our outreach found him. We brought him in the program. And after 18 months, they both graduated. He moved to Florida, and now he's a mayor of a town. See, they have this potential, all of them.
Right.
You know, just because they're veterans, they have already shown initiative and motivation. They just need a hand up, not a handout, a hand up.
Yeah, and I don't think there's enough organizations or resources put against the problem set.
I couldn't agree more.
Right. So that's why when we connected earlier
Yeah.
today, I had to have you on the podcast to really talk through, you know, and let folks know out there exactly what it is that you're
Exactly.
doing for folks. I'm a veteran myself, right?
Yes.
And, you know, and I have 2 daughters, and I couldn't
Mhm.
imagine that if I didn't have the resources where we would be.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
know it's you've got to help these guys, give them the hand up, recognize that they're individuals, they're honorable people, and treat them as such,
Absolutely.
you know? And we've got Air Force, Navy, Marines, and all sorts of people, every race, it doesn't matter. We have women in our program, we have families in our program, and we have never had an incident, you know, and because we kind of inculcate them with the idea, hey, we're here, take advantage of this program and make something of yourself. And that's what we do.
No, I want to say just on behalf of all the veterans out there, one, thank you for what you do. I think we're all in this space because we want to serve.
Exactly.
And, we need to serve our communities, our own people, because we all share
Absolutely.
this rock,
Absolutely.
whatever time we're on it. So, Tom, sir, thank you, for your time. I know you have to go and
I know.
meet your wife, but what I will do,
They're shopping. I have to go stop.
yeah, right. What I will do though is I have your card and I will reach out to you to get you
Good.
on the podcast.
Okay.
Where we can have a proper sit down and
Very
conversation
good.
to really explore your story and pull the string on that. So
All right, Eric.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, buddy.
All right.
Hang in there.
All right, folks, we're back. We just had a great talk with Lieutenant Colonel retired Thomas Griffin. He talked about his establishment, which was the Veterans Transition Center out of California. Now I'm here with Ben Lowe. How you doing?
Doing well. How you doing, Eric?
I can't complain. It's actually been a pretty fun event having the round robin.
Yeah.
So I get to meet all of the folks and yeah, we'll hear from you a little bit today. So what's your affiliation with AUSA?
So I'm affiliated as a community partner. So I work with First Command as a financial planner here in Wiesbaden. Actually, I have an office in Frankfurt as well, and been involved with AUSA for several years. But yeah, as a community partner.
Right. Good. Yeah. I mean, they introduced you. They gave you a little, gift and shout out. And,
I got the Army man.
right.
I got
right.
the Army man.
I'm a community partner too. I didn't get one. So I'm gonna go talk to Gemma. Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
We got to take that to the top.
Yeah. So you've been affiliated for a few years, and you're all about giving back to the
Absolutely.
community. Why is that important to you?
So a couple things is that I firmly believe that when you are, as an individual, there's a certain amount of growth that you can achieve by focusing on yourself. When you grow beyond that, or at least in my experience and my belief is that by giving back to the community and by raising up others around you, that's where the true growth happens.
Right.
So part of it you might say is altruism, part of it is maybe not, because I think that giving back is really one of the highest forms of being selfless. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but
No, I think it makes perfect sense. And I think that all of us are in this environment that, we want to give back. We think it's important. And for whatever reason, right, whether it's, personal trauma, personal growth that you've had within that and others have given to you, or, we're all a part of this military thing. We're at this ecosystem and we just want to give back to those that gave to us as well. Right.
absolutely.
So I think that's extremely important. But, one of the questions that I've been asking everyone, and it's kind of like, take people by surprise, but we started the whole podcast with Dr. Carter talking about young professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying I'm young too, but, I'm over 40 now. So I don't know if I can still say that.
Can't keep playing that card.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It sounds good.
Sure.
But, what's that one thing that you've learned throughout your career, through your experience? What's that one thing you would give back to a young professional?
So I think that actually goes back to the kind of the second questions you asked there is that, so what would I give back? I'd say that if you want to grow, you need to teach others. If you want to learn, you need to be also teach. It's some of the best way to actually learn. So come from a mindset of abundance is what I would say, not from scarcity.
Right.
When I say abundance, I mean believing that there is enough good in the world that you can put it out. You can contribute to the community. It will come back to you. There's enough opportunity in business, in your financial life, in your love, whatever it is. There's enough out there that it's okay to go ahead and pour yourself into whatever it is you do. Because when you come from a place of scarcity, which is the opposite of that, you are immobilized, you can't move, you're scared to lose what you have.
Right.
And so when you come from that place, you don't take any risk. And if you don't take any risk, life passes you by.
Right.
And so what I would say to young professionals is that come from a mindset of abundance, give back to your community, give back to your peers, impact someone's life in a positive way. not because you want to be positively impacted, but know that that is an incidental of that action.
Absolutely.
That's how that goes. So that would be, if it's one thing, is the mindset of abundance.
No, that's probably the first time I heard somebody say it that way, but no, I appreciate that. You know, we talk about on our podcast and, you know, in conversations that we have with everyone is having that meaningful connection, finding those mentors, finding that network and that ecosystem. Basically what you're saying is pour yourself into that, right? And good things will come back to you. And I'm a firm believer of that as well.
You have to. What do they say now, right? You take your shot, try to hit the moon.
Right.
Right. Because if you miss, you're still amongst the stars.
That's
right.
it.
So pour yourself in and yeah, come from a place of knowing that there's enough good out there that whatever it is that you do, it'll come back to you.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Ben, hey, thanks for being a part of the podcast here.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be in touch.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right, we're back with our next guest here at the AUSA event here in Wiesbaden, Germany, and we have Bernardo Quijano. Yeah, so let me let it roll off the tongue. Bernardo Quijano. So welcome. So Bernardo is here in Wiesbaden supporting U.S. Army Europe as a reserve component on active duty. You know, protecting our nation's interest in serving in that capacity. And you're heading back to Chicago, where your actual job is a police officer.
That is correct.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, you're constantly serving. So what's your affiliation with AUSA?
My affiliation is I'm an invitee. I know Gemma McGowan.
Okay.
I worked with her at USAREF. And I've been invited to some of these social networking events where it's just been a great time and meeting great people.
Yeah, it's a great networking event, and they even have a very brand new beer here at the Octoberfest. So it's been a great event so far. I did have one. I'm not really a beer guy, but it was phenomenal. But yeah, so you know, you are a reservist, right? So that's a voluntary thing for you. You're also a police officer in your real job. Not saying your real job, your civilian capacity,
Yep.
and you're serving your community. So just let's talk about like what drives you to serve and what's your purpose?
Well, one of the main things that drive me as far as my civilian job is just growing up, and because I was born and raised in Chicago, so seeing the violence and seeing all the tragedy that involves around, you know, gangs and drugs and all that, I kind of was impacted on it, and I wanted to react to it. So one of my ways of contributing and trying to help and do my part was to become a Chicago police officer. And maybe this is my way of like trying to reach out and help my city heal.
No, that's actually phenomenal. You know, because greatness sometimes is born from trauma, and you know, and the only way that we can fix things is by jumping, you know, feet first or head first into the problem. So thank you for you know, for serving your community. So with that being said, you know, wanting to help, and you know, we started our podcast tonight up talking about young professionals. And this is a leadership podcast. So what would be, you know, based on your experience, whether it's the reserves or, you know, serving your community as a police officer, what's the one thing you would leave the youth or young professionals or young leaders out there? What's the one thing, golden nugget, you would kind of advise them on?
I think my words, one thing I would leave for the youth is that it's easy to be persuaded by what's the fad of everything, what's going on and what's cool and what's trendy. Now you need to challenge yourself by going out of that circle or coming out of that bubble and kind of take a step back and look at the big picture,
Right.
and see what it is what's wrong, right? Because everyone has their own opinions, everyone has their own point of views. So you need to kind of step back and see what is going on, right? What's the main issue or what's the main problem that you need to, if you're a young professional and you wanna eliminate or you wanna help solve problems, you have to take a step back and not just like take a step back and isolate yourself. You're actually taking a step back and you're hearing everything that's going around you and understanding that there might be something that you can contribute to either change or revolutionize the way that we think, right? The way that we're trying to solve a problem or trying to help each other.
Yeah, because one of the common themes that we've had tonight from everyone that I've interviewed, I think we're probably at about 10 folks now, is, understanding that you have a network, understanding you can pour yourself into the problem set to find a solution, seeking out people like you within the community for mentorship, coaching, advice, but really getting out of your comfort zone. And sometimes it's hard to see light at the end of the tunnel when you're in the storm, right?
Yeah.
But to your point is like actively pulling yourself out of that, just to kind of admire the problem, but also understand that there's something outside of your normal community and trauma. So I want to say good luck to you as you transition back, to your wife and dog, right? And, back to your community where you're going to continue to serve and do great things.
Absolutely.
Be safe as you patrol the streets and try to reach the youth and keep your community safe. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Bernardo.
Appreciate it.
All right. Okay, hey, so I'm back with our last guest before we bring back Dr. Carter, but I'm here with Norbert Canzera, who is part of the Frankfurt Berlin Airlift Association. And what we talked about before we got on here was, what is this association and what was his purpose that drives him to be a part of preserving history as part of this organization? And he has a story to share with us on why he continues to do what he does. So Norbert, welcome.
Yes, I have a special story. I born in 1947 in west of Germany. And in this time bringing packages, care packages from the United States to Germany for the peoples in Germany after the war. And one this package was my baby shoes.
Yeah, and for those not watching the video, he is showing us his baby shoes that came in a care package back in 1947, which is pretty special.
And at this time, I'm working for the Berlin Association, and this is the story you come back. My shoes, beginning my life, and in this time stay for the Berlin Airlift Association and for Gail's story, help the peoples and to give also back. And in this time, is it the same story we 1948, 49, this time helping the peoples.
Yeah, and I think that's extremely important in the times that we find ourselves, is that they continue to give back through classes for the youth to help preserve our history, so that way history does not continue to repeat itself. But Norbert, thank you for joining us today. Extremely special story, and thank you for everything that you do in preserving our history.
Okay, thank you too.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so that was a great interview with Norbert, who is part of the Frankfurt Berlin Airlift Association. We stayed on a little longer to discuss kind of what their mission is and how they want to preserve history. They want to change history, and they do that through helping through folks that are disenfranchised and or refugees because of war and or conflict. So now I'm back with Dr. Carter, Dr. Stephen Carter. Since we opened up with you, we wanted to close it up with you as well. So yeah, how was the evening?
This was a magnificent evening. I have to give great credit to our chapter president, Miss Gemma McGowan, our first ever female president of the C.W. Abrams chapter here in Wiesbaden, Germany. She made me this great Octoberfest beer tag as memorabilia with my name on it, Dr. Carter, with a pretzel at the bottom. So I really have to give her credit. She thinks of things that we just don't think of.
Right.
But what really transpired here this evening was a lot of engagement and information exchange. I got the great opportunity to talk to some of our German partners, a major, a captain. One is a president of their council in Darmstadt, Germany. I got to talk to some 56 mics. For those of you who don't know what a 56 mic is, in the Army chaplain corps, those are chaplain assistants, a sergeant first class, a sergeant and a specialist, and talk to them about young professionals and the benefit of the Young Professionals Program, which is an AUSA initiative designed for soldiers, veterans, family members, AUSA members, that really focuses on just developing those demographics and also offering networking opportunities and leadership opportunities, because you have to realize that in many instances, a young lieutenant or maybe a sergeant first class or a master sergeant is working a staff position, which is not necessarily a full-blown leadership position. We offer leadership opportunities, and we also offer the opportunity to speak with senior officers, senior civilians, senior military officials, just for them to have a network.
Yeah. So one of the key things. So we asked everyone that came on the final question of what would they leave with a young professional, based on their experience in leadership, experience in their careers, life, etc. And I will tell you, the majority, there was a common theme. A common theme was one, networking, right? Putting yourself out there and bucking the status quo, becoming a lifelong learner. And then, the coaching, the mentoring, going after your aspirations and ambitions and not being afraid to reach out to those that have done it before you. And it was very timely to have Norbert on, right? Because his whole purpose in life is to preserve history, right? And you can only do that by teaching, by asking questions, by sharing. So that was awesome to have him on. So with that, we're going to close up our special episode here of Leadership is Tricky, in partnership with AUSA, so the Association of United States Army, here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Erick Ocasio. That's Dr. Carter. So we're going to sign off here. For those that are watching the video, I did throw up the peace sign. For those that aren't watching the video, I did throw up the peace sign. So we're out from here. We'll see you guys on the next episode.